touch each other's lives and touch everyone's life that we have come in contact with. We want to just give you thanks and praise that we are in this space together to move our lives forward together with you at the forefront of it all. We give you thanks and praise. Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, let me just say thanks to everyone for making it on. It's a lunchtime session. And while I know some persons will take their time to get on as they're getting their lunch to come in, because we do have a packed session and we have powerful speakers to come on, we're just going to jump ahead into the routines for the afternoon as we look to make a difference in the lives of everyone, to help each person to just become more aware of how their finances can be a powerful way to boost their well-being. With you this afternoon to take you through, we do have Fiona. Fiona, you're on, my dearest. Is Fiona on? Fiona. Is Fiona on? All right, Fiona.
One moment, please, Doc.
Supposed to be doing a little icebreaker for us.
Okay.
And, so we soon turn over to her. But before we turn over to her, we have with us today Miss Dennise Williams. She is a formidable. You had people like Mike Tyson. You had people like Muhammad Ali. These formidable champions. And while those people are champions in boxing, you have a champion when it comes to financial wellness, and her name is Dennise Williams, and we're so happy to have her with us today to speak on how to manage debt, to give a knockout on debt and the debt problems that we tend to be faced with so often. And so she will be helping us with that. We also have our sweet gem, Michele Fearron, who is our associate psychologist and in charge of the mental health program at Essential Medical. I'm so sorry, let me just pause here. Oh, you're not hearing. All right. All right, we seem to be having some audio challenges. If you're having challenges hearing me right now, could you just put in the chat for me audio challenges? If you're having any challenges hearing, could you put, well, I guess you won't hear me. I'm gonna have to type in the chat. All right, audio challenge, type here.
Yes, hearing you now, Doc.
Okay, great. All right, so you guys are back here. Okay, great. So it might have just been some internet challenges on this side. All right, not a problem. All right, I appreciate that. All right, so to jump right ahead, and so Michele will take us through handling the stress of money, while I will lead off with just looking at financial well-being itself. We do hope that this know-how session, because when you're doing anything in life, it's good to have the right mindset, skill set, knowledge, and know-how. These sessions as a part of our broader 1-1 Cocoa Financial Wellbeing Challenge is all about helping you to develop the skills, knowledge, know-how, and mindset needed to really transform your lives. So without further ado, let me just invite Fiona to jump in and just do a nice little icebreaker for us, get our little brain cells warmed up to learn and to be empowered. Fiona, can you hear me? Are you with us?
Doc?
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
I can hear you clearly.
Doc, are you hearing me?
I can hear clearly. Go right ahead. I can hear very, very clearly. Can you hear me clearly? Any challenges with hearing on your side? All right, while we wait on Fiona to come through on her side, I guess—
You're not hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly now.
Okay. Afternoon, everyone. So we have, well, I hope everybody is well. We have 2 icebreakers that we'd like to try out. Just want to test how our brains are working this afternoon. It's lunchtime, so I'm sure everybody's hyped and ready to go. You can type your answers in the chat, or you can say the answer if you know the answer, okay? All right, here we go. The first one.
All right, let me just stop screen sharing just to allow them to focus on you.
You're still hearing me?
We can hear you. You can go right ahead,
Okay.
Fiona.
Here's the first one. A
Oh, by
bat
the
and
way,
a ball
there's a
cost.
prize for this, right?
Yes, there is a prize.
Great.
It's a secret prize.
All right, awesome.
All right. So a bat and a ball cost $1.10 in total. The bat cost $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost?
All right, guys. So we're going to talk about finances, right? And some people might say, boy, maths already so early. Well, guys, I know Dennise will tell you, you better be good at your maths if you're going to get your finances right? So guys, put on those thinking caps. What's the answer?
There is an answer here.
Our answer's coming already.
Okay, I'll
Somebody
repeat.
asked to repeat, yeah.
All right, a bat and a ball cost $1.10 in total. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost?
All right, so one answer's already. Who else have another answer?
10 cents.
10 cents. All right. Yo, this guy quick. Any other answers? Anybody agree with the 10 cents? 19
Somebody
cents.
said 19 cents.
All right, nice. All right, I love that. So, hey, we look like we're giving away this prize today for sure. Any other answers coming in? All right, guys, we gave you 5 seconds more. So we have 5 cents, 10 cents, 19 cents. If you agree with it, just put the one that you agree with. If you have a new one, just throw it in. We're going 5, 4. Okay, we get back 10 cents there.
Sorry, it was a mistake. I pressed 9 instead of 0.
0. I'm with you. 1, 0. All right, Fiona, what's the answer?
The answer is 5 cents.
5 cents.
So Odean White, or Odine White, sorry.
Big up to you, my friend. All right, you guys will Google that and find out why 5
Dina,
cents.
you're a little late.
All right, so the brain cells are kicking now. Let's hear the next one. All right, this for double the prize.
Double the prize. I mean, you have to listen carefully and do it honestly, because you can't write this one down, right? So
Guys,
listen.
Honesty is the best policy when it comes to your finances. Dennise, is that true?
Absolutely, absolutely.
There you go. If you're not honest with yourself, you just won't do well with your finances. Thank you so much, Dennise. All right. That is the knockout champion of finances they're talking, guys. Good.
All right, so here we go. Take 1,000 and add 40. Then add 1,000.
No writing, guys. No writing. This has to be done in your head.
Then add another 30. Then add another 1,000. Now add 20.
I said, Dennise scratching her
What's in her head?
Add 1,000. And finally add 10.
All right, if you're going to ask you to repeat that for everybody.
Again.
One more time.
Okay.
For everybody one more time. We're not going to say anything.
Here.
The only
Here we
rule
go again.
is not write it down. All right? Do not write it down.
Here we go. You have 1,000. Now add 40. Add another 1,000. Add 30. Then add another 1,000. Add 20. Another 1,000. And add 10.
4,000. That's
What's the answer you got?
4,100. 4,100.
We're getting some answers here. We're getting some answers. Sound like we're giving away the prize soon. We see 5,000, 4,100. Any other answers? Guys, remember this is double up, you know. We're going to give you 10 seconds and counting down. The last 10 seconds for the prize. 10, 9, 8, 6,
7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's the answer, my friend?
That's it.
That's it.
4,100 to all the bright sparks that got
4,100.
it.
Big up,
Oh,
big
yeah.
up.
So that's
Big up to you guys.
Joshua, Christine, Gabadon, and I think 2 other persons said it out loud.
Yes,
Nice.
I am
All
one
right,
of
so we
them.
have some prizes coming your way, guys.
Okay,
Look
so
out for them. I
I'll
love all
take
those
your names
answers.
down.
But those who didn't get it right, well, Dennise is going to teach you how to do some good math. All right, when she gets around to debt management. All right. So with that said, I hope every brain cell is up and
Is
live
there
and
any
kicking right
explanation
now.
for the first one?
Explanation for the first one, very quickly.
Yes,
It says
that's
$1
5
more
cents
than,
instead of
right?
10
I think
cents.
that's what everybody get caught on. So to be $1 more than, it must be $1.05 for the bat and 5 cents for the ball. So that's how you get $1 more than. And for this one, it's really a trick on the brain itself. Two sides of the brain competing with each other. And so because of that, you, by default, for most of us, we get 5,000 because we roll over the numbers and add a zero automatically in our brain. But for those of us who can block that impulse, we can actually get it to 4,100. But not many of us can do that. So these were all just tricks on the brain that were played. All right. And our finances tend to do that as well. We're going to learn about something called hyperbolic discounting. Our brain loves to do that. Things in the present is worth more than things in the future. And, you know, our brain loves to trick us when it comes to our finances. We have things like optimism biases and all sort of things that is built into our brain. You'll be blown away if we do a session called the psychology of money, the amount of things that we have stacked against us in our brains. But that said, this is what these sessions are for. The 21-day challenge is all about learning to master the biases that are built into our brain so we can master our finances and live the wealthiest life we can live. So with that said, time is flying on us, so let's just move forward. And so I'm going to kick it off today, and I'm going to pass it to Michele, and then the knockout champ, Dennise will close it for us as we talk about debt management. So my start that we're looking to do today is to really just help you to understand this concept called financial well-being. Now, financial well-being might be new to a lot of you, and please help me to know if you can see the screen. I'm probably going to cut my video just to allow the bandwidth to go well. All right. If you can see my screen, just let me know. Can you see my screen? It says achieve greater financial well-being. Can you see that?
Yes, we are seeing a screen.
All right, awesome. All right, so let's chat about financial well-being. What is it and why is it so important? Now, you see me have positive vibe, positive mind, positive vibe, positive life. Who doesn't like to live that life? Who here, let's say it the other way, who here loves to live that life? If you love to live that life, say me.
Me.
Only one person want to live them life there.
Me.
Positive mind, positive vibe, positive life. Look here, me don't want to go food in the house and eat the no. All right. Positive mind, positive vibe, positive life. I'm sure that's the life that nearly everybody wants to live, right? And that's what really this whole thing is about. Is really how can you get there, but get there from the perspective of finances. So we're going to talk briefly about what is financial well-being. We're going to talk a little bit about what is the mindset, knowledge, skill set. You heard me mention this earlier. How to make the positive change in that direction and how to get started today. And then when closing up, you'll hear something about the 1-1 Coco Financial Wellbeing Challenge, as well as our Pro EAP solution. So what is it? What is financial well-being? Which brave person will jump up and tell me what is financial well-being? What is it? And not because you see a lady there, gents, feel free to jump in. What is financial well-being? One bright person, and if I have to give you a prize, I'll give you a prize. I'm going to pick on Christine. Talk to me about financial well-being, Christine. When you think about financial well-being, what thoughts come to mind? Feel free to unmute.
Hi, did you call on me?
Yes,
I'm
yes,
seeing
I
a
did.
patient, so sorry. Call on somebody else.
All right, not a problem. Dina, can
Oh.
I pick on you? Tell me, what comes to mind when you think about financial well-being?
Hello, good afternoon. Well,
Good afternoon.
just like your physical well-being,
Ah, nice.
I'm thinking about, financially, there's some amount of stability so you can,
Nice.
support yourself on, daily needs and even add a few wants. So, you're not necessarily in anxiety when it comes down to your finances, just like your health. You go and get your daily checkup, monthly checkups, whether it be your eyes, your teeth, your body, etc., or yearly. So
Nice.
financial well-being, your finances, and the stability of your finances.
Nice, nice. Odine, what are your thoughts? Feel free to unmute.
Being able to live your most comfortable and fulfilling life without worrying about how you're going to finance it.
Yeah, so you know what I got from both of you? Both of you said that the well-being thing is a brain thing, right? It's about being comfortable. It's about not worrying, right? That's what I got from both of you. And so when we use this phrase well-being, some people get a little bit, oh, what is this well-being thing, you know? They can understand the financial part, that's the money part, right? But what does the well-being mean, all right? And literally, well means good and being means be good. So being good with your finances. But when we speak about it with respect of yourself as a person, really what we're talking about is how your mind processes it. Because really, your body processes things a little bit different from how your mind does. Your mind wants to know that it feels good. It gives you a positive feeling. Or when you think about it, you think about positive things. But how does that come about? Well, it's really because you have a gap in between what your needs, your wants, and your ability to meet your needs and wants. And universally in life, that's how everything goes. When you're talking about physical well-being, social well-being, any kind of well-being, there's some gap. And generally with finances, that gap is between income and expense. Usually that's where that gap is, or a gap between your wants and your expectations. And so when you're able to easily meet that gap, it is said that your well-being is high. And when your well-being is high, then what you have is a lot of these smiley faces being shown. When your well-being is low, then the face don't smile as much, right? And so we want to know, we want to help you to think about how to feel happy about your money and feel happy about your finances. Now that's easier to say than it is to do. And so you're going to really learn. They've actually studied this and they said, okay, well, it's not just a matter of think and be happy and you're happy. You've heard many motivation gurus says, hey, you can make yourself a happy person, right? Who agrees with them? If you agree with them, put your hand up and say, I do.
I do. You can choose to be happy.
That is true. That is true. But of course, when the world is crumbling around you and everybody is miserable, it's kind of difficult, right?
It's difficult.
You can choose to be, but it's kind of difficult, right?
It's difficult if you agree with the people who are around you are miserable.
And I agree with you fully, but I can step it a bit further and say, boy, if 50 of them around you miserable, it's going to be very hard to be for you.
Yes. It's time to change your friend.
Ah, there you go. That's my friend. So there are things that you can do to actually change your well-being that doesn't involve forcing yourself to be happy. Like some people that work around me will say, boy, doc, you know that when you come nearby and I feel like I have to force myself to do things, you know, when your boss comes around, you feel like you have to just push and do something, right? Well, you don't have to push and do something when it comes to well-being if you know the right thing to do. The key though is to remember that well-being is actually tied to your health. And so when your health is healthy, well-being is easy. When your health is bad, well-being is hard. And so straight out the bat, you can learn that your health and importantly, your financial health is critical towards your financial well-being. So that's just a quick little tip. Well, now we're going to jump in it because we want you to appreciate this from a very special way. There's a company in the US called the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They did a beautiful study 4 years ago that did polled over 10,000 people to try to understand when is it that you feel most happy about your finances. And this is what they came up with. They realized that there were just 4 core areas that are really important for you to feel happy, feel satisfied, comfortable, and not feeling bad about your finances. They really have 2 categories, your security and your freedom. Your security and your freedom now, and your security and your freedom in the future. When all 4 of these are good, then what you find is that your well-being is off the chain. Now, of course, that sounds good to hear, but what does that really mean? Well, your security in the present really means your ability to take care of your day-to-day expenses. Monthly, you can pay your light bill, you can buy yourself your food, you can do those basic things. That's what it means to be financially secure in the present. You can take care of present needs. Financial security in the future really means that you can prepare for any sudden changes, all right? Someone gets sick, there's an accident, you have some emergency fund, whether it be insurance, savings, or family that can help you. And so that's what it means to be secure in the future. Being free in the future, because financial freedom, some people say, well, I have to work again. No, it's not so much about not needing to work again, but it's really about being able to make choices that you want to make. The choices that you want to make in the present, such as, hey, I might want to go out for a meal. I might want to go on a vacation, or tell you what, I just want to spend more time with my family. Being able to make these choices that are anchored to your money is what gives you that feeling of freedom. It's not just about not needing to work anymore. It's really just being able to make the choices that you want now, whatever that means to you, because each of us, those choices are different. And then the fourth part is freedom in the future. All right. And this is in the future, it's really about what we want from life, what will make life what we want to make it. So that may mean being able to retire at an earlier age. It may mean be able to do things with your family. It may mean to be able to go buy your home, have a particular investment. Things that you want to do in the future, you are free to achieve them. You are not severely constrained. And so these four areas are what really makes up the financial well-being story. All right. Now, if you didn't get it from that, I'm hoping that you're going to get it from this activity. I'm going to tell you a story about John, and some of you may know a lot of Johns out there, right? And so I want you to help me to try to work out what the financial well-being state of John is. All right. Everybody ready for this one? Ready for it?
Yes, ready.
Great. All right, let's work out what the financial well-being of John is. And if you know a John out there, and of course, it may be Josephine as well, right? If you know any of them out there, all right, don't tell them that I told your story right here, right? So here's John's story. John says, I'm just able to pay my bills with not much left over. I don't think about them much or seem to get along, right? My enjoyment comes from giving to others, but I'm not a detailed person when it comes to my money. And sometimes it puts me on strain because I'm not that detailed. I would like to make financial progress, but I wish I could save money. Anybody know that, John?
Yes.
Yeah, man. Me know that John did too, a couple of years ago. Me know him well. It seems there's something needing to be paid all the time. Ijah this. John, really? It seems there's something needed to be paid all the time. I often use my credit card when I don't have enough money to cover emergency expense, like a car repair or a medical bill. I mean, I do it because I want to do it, I do it because I just have to do it, right? When I need to pay occasional expenses such as a car registration, holidays, it can be challenging for me and it puts me under strain. I may even have to borrow from a short day money lender. I only contribute 1% of my paycheck to my workplace retirement account. My employer would match more for me, up to 20%, but I need to contribute more to get it. As I get older, I worry that I won't have enough money to last me for retirement. All right, work with me, guys. Help me to rate. How would you rate on a scale of 1 to 5? All right, where 5 means he's doing very good, 1 he's doing very poor. How would you rate him in terms of the 4 areas? Security in the present, security in the future, freedom in the present, and freedom in the future. Let's think about it. Does he have control over his day-to-day and monthly expenses? On a scale of 1 to 5.
He could.
He could, right? So he could probably be about a 3 to 4 to 5, right? But he's definitely not a 5 because he says his finances is sometimes strained, right?
But he's pleasing other people.
Yeah, he's pleasing other people. So he's making freedom, like he's doing something that he likes, right?
Right.
But certainly, in terms of making all the choices he'd want in the present, like taking care of so he can pay his bill, but not much left over. We see that he can give to others, all right? And he would like to make progress, but he's not. So he's probably not getting enough savings done as he would want, right? So probably he's a 3 or 4 here so as well, right? In terms of freedom of choice. Let's look at the future. How is his capacity to absorb financial shock on a scale of 1 to 5? How much would you give him?
It's not well.
Not well at all, right? He's probably down to probably a 1 to 2 here because
that's like a 1 or 2.
Yeah, because he has to be pulling from his credit cards. He's probably have to borrow from a short date loan lender, and he can't even put towards his retirement, which is the financial choices in the future. He's not really on track with his financial goal. So while he's not too bad in the present, he's quite poor in the future. And so if we should try to add this up, we'd realize that he's not doing too well. So what I want to do, getting John's scenario, I want you to now take the test yourself, right? And so I'm going to give you this link in the browser, and I'm going to walk you through it. So quickly in your browser, you're going to just go on the same, you're going to go on the same thing there. You're going to go on the same organization's website.
Can you put it in the chat?
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in the chat.
All right.
If my computer will give me a chance to do it.
All right.
All right. Let's try to put it in the chat. All right. So just take that link in the chat, click it, and I want you to rate your financial well-being for me. All right. While I talk you through what it involves. So just go right ahead, and I'm just going to talk you through what is on it very, very quickly. Right. It shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes to do maximum. It's only 10 questions, right? So the 10 questions looks at your financial security in the present, your financial security in the future, your financial freedom in the present, and your financial freedom in the future. That's what these questions are about. And it's all about honesty, guys. Remember we said, if you cheat, it don't make no sense because it's your finances, and integrity is what it takes to really make it when it comes to your finances. You must first be honest with yourself, who you are as a person and what you're doing to be able to make a difference in the future. So here are some of the questions that they ask. In the first 6 questions, you either respond that it describes you completely or it doesn't describe you at all. It gives you some situation. So I'm just talking you through. You guys go ahead and do the test while I walk you through, and then you guys can, if you feel brave enough, can share your scores, right? And I'll just pick 1 or 2 persons to talk about their score. So it says well, the score doesn't tell you anything about it, so you don't have to worry. Nobody will know your business, right? Because it's really just giving you a score of how well you are financially, what your well-being like, right? So I could handle a major unexpected expense. All right. Of course, that is talking about financial security in the, sorry, let me come back. That's talking about financial security in the future, right? I am secure with my financial future. That speaks to itself. Because of my money situation, I feel like I never have enough money when I want in my life. That speaks about the present. I can enjoy life because of the way I'm managing my money. That talks about freedom. I am just getting by financially. All right. I am concerned that the money I have or will save won't last. Right. That's about security there. And then this last 4, how often do these statements apply to you? Always, often, sometimes, rarely, never, right? If you had to give a gift for your wedding or birthday, it would put you in strain with your finances for that month. That's obviously financial security, financial freedom, to be able to do what you'd like to do. I have money left over at the end of each month. I am behind on my finances. My finances control my life. Now, when you do that and submit, it's going to give you a score. All right. Has anybody finished already? Does anybody got their score? That be brave enough to share their score? Anybody at all? I'd give my score. Now, my score is 54, right? My score, when you get over, it's going to show you where you stack up against others. Now, to be honest with you, the others that they're stacking up against is people in the United States. But worry not. It's not about the exchange rate. It's really about how you feel. And what you find is the way that human feels across the globe tends to be almost consistent, right? And so it's about your feeling and about how you think about your finances, right?
Well,
now,
can I say something, Doc?
Sure, go right ahead.
I also think in doing it, it's also the benchmark.
It is.
Because if I said my score was 79, but yes, I don't feel good about that because I should be 95 or indeed, I should be, in some of the cases, are you benchmarking yourself? Who am I benchmarking myself against? Because if I'm benchmarking myself against all the CEOs in the banking sector, then I'm not doing well at all, So
indeed.
if Michael Leachin is your benchmark, you're in trouble.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. And that's solid, right? So your score gives you a start point. Where are you now, right? And your score also can tell you where you are against people in your group, or it can tell you again about where you are against people in other groups, right? But the key is just to realize that I see a hand raised by Dina. Dina, go right ahead.
Some of the questions too, I find that, those things can be relative. So,
It is.
like finances control you. What does that mean? Is it a case where, all right, let's say at my age, I have 2 children, another person without children, I am probably comfortable with the pay that I get and having those responsibilities versus somebody who doesn't have children, but maybe has to take care of her mother, father, or something like that. And they may not be getting the same amount of money that I'm getting. So, some of those things are actually relative. And I guess it ties into what the person said earlier too.
100% so. So I want to say to you that, in the financial circles, they say you can tell your money where it should go, or your money tells you what to do. So some of us, because of the way we manage our funds, literally our money dictates what we do. In other words, it dictates the kind of coffee we buy. It dictates the amount of time we spend with our family. It dictates because our money drives our life, or our money literally controls us. And what, knockout champions like Dennise will teach you to do is learn how to tell your money what to do and not have your money tell you what to do. And so depending on where you are as a person, some of us, we're at that stage. Our money tells us what to do. It tells us when to wake up. It tells us when to go to work. It tells us when to play with our friends. It tells us what we should buy at the end of the month because of how we see our money. It's what we call a mindset, right? And so these things are very important in this thought that we're doing for you to get a hold of that, to realize these things. And so even the very questions themselves are benchmarks for you to realize, oh, this is who I am, this is where I'm at, and not just the overall score, because the overall score tells you something global, but the individual items, those 4 areas, how am I doing with my financial freedom now? How am I doing my financial freedom in the future? How am I doing with my financial security now? How am I doing with my financial security in the future? Just being able to put yourself in those categories and say, oh, this is where I'm at. It is a very insightful awakening experience to be able to do that. So I really love what you shared, Dina. Thank you so much for that. So I get 54 here. Somebody got pretty much similar to myself. And anybody who gets around that, you'd find that there's some things that are common. And this is what the screen is about, right? Most people who did that initial study found that they found themselves close to 54. Some people found themselves down in the 40s. Some people found themselves up in the 60s, but rarely does anybody get over 70 in terms of their score. I mean, you'd really have to be a happy-go-lucky and God has given you everything in the world type of person to really get beyond that. But that said, even if you're up there, don't worry. It's where you are, and that's really good. Bear in mind, as I said, financial well-being is how you think and feel about your ability to close your gaps with your income and your expense. It's how you feel about it. But it's strongly correlated to some things. So these are some things that it's strongly related to. People who save and have a financial cushion tend to feel better. They're happier about their finances. In other words, as I say, one less thing to worry about, your finances is not one. And so when you have a good savings and a good saving habit, as well as a good financial cushion, it is the strongest predictor. So if you really want to feel good about your finances, start saving and start putting down a financial cushion today. It will help to build that security that you need. The second thing that they found is that very bad financial experiences, like having a debt collector call your bank, reject you for lending, is a very bad experience, and those things go very badly. And then, of course, being able to know what to do. These sessions are here to grow your resilience. I'm glad time is against me, so I'm going to jump. So these are some of the things that help you to really build that financial well-being. These are some other things. What this is really saying is that not all things are in your control, and don't get worried if you can't control all the things. As a matter of fact, that's what Michele is going to go through, how to stop and relax when some things in your finances are out of your control. You can't control your placement. You can't control everything that's available to you, but you can control your behavior. You can control your decisions and the knowledge and skills that you get. So work on the things you can control, while the other things you can't control, you learn to stop and relax. Michele will go through how to do that. How to kick it off though, we want you to work on your mindset, how you think about your money every day. This is what I want you to do. List 10 things that is important to your life that money can't buy. Dr. Way, I said the money you're talking about. No, guys, I'm talking about money, but you must always realize that you're in a broader sphere than money. All right. And money is not everything. And so if you can put your money relative to what it really means, it helps you to now make better decisions with your money. That's how that one makes sense. So build your money mindset, list 10 things each morning for the next 7 days in your life that your money can't buy. You're going to realize you're going to develop something called an abundance mindset. You have so much that you cannot be stopped. Get the knowledge. Check in on our tips that we're giving you. Learn to build your financial literacy. Build the skills. We have skill builders sending out for you now. And get the know-how from knockout champions like Dennise, your bank. Learn to navigate and negotiate. And every cycle, whether it be quarterly or monthly, jump through in a smarter way. There are other terms for you to learn. We won't cover them now. Financial literacy, financial wellness, financial health, financial resilience. We're going to do those in other sessions and help you to understand the difference between all of them. All right. But today we're doing financial well-being. Let's turn it over to you guys now to just throw a few questions away, and then we turn over to Michele to jump to the next step. Hopefully you learned something there. How was that for everybody?
Excellent. Very excellent.
Thanks so much, Dennise. Samuel, may I get a little feedback from you? What are your thoughts? Financial well-being, is it important for you now?
Yes, I'm in agreement. It is extremely important at this time.
Will you encourage your friends to do their test?
Sorry, could you kindly repeat?
Will you encourage your friends to get their test done?
Yes, I would.
All right, God bless you. Priscilla, what's your thoughts on financial well-being?
You were reading my mind. Good afternoon. I was just about to speak. I like this approach. Most times when we have persons coming in to speak with staff, it takes a different slant in that the representative is most time from a financial institution, and at the end of the day, they promote their products. However, you have looked at financial well-being from a different perspective in that, yes, you're encouraging us to save more, you're encouraging us to be aware of how we are doing in terms of our financial resources, but it's also helping us to look at the broader picture. So if you don't have money, you're not going to feel comfortable, even though people tend to say the love of money is the root of all evil, but having money is necessary to do things. So I like this approach, and I circulated the link yesterday, but I'm not certain how many persons would have done it. So I'm going to send out a reminder, because I think it's a very important tool.
Thanks so much. All right, Michele. Michele is the queen of our mental health and resilience program here. She is a wonderful person, lady, and psychologist. I turn over to her to talk about how we can handle the stress of money. Michele, let me just stop my share here and allow you to get in.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So by the way, sorry, thank you so much for those responses, by the way, Priscilla.
Good afternoon.
And Shaw. And I lost the name. Samuel, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing, Doc. Thank you for your attention, everyone. I know it's your lunch hour. Can you just tell me if you are seeing my screen? So by now you would have settled in, you would have had lunch, and you're relaxing and you're learning now. Agreed? Are you seeing my screen?
We are.
Okay, beautiful. So I'm just going to go briefly and look at the fact that Doc mentioned earlier that we're all in this time having money worries, challenges. Even if we have enough money to do something, we still want some more money, right?
Yes.
Giving more on top of more.
All more on top of more. Yes, even the Bible speaks to the fact that those who have will always be having more. So I suppose it's the disposition of where we're at. So it could be an unexpected expense coming up, emergency situations, a death, it could be illness, the debt is just mounting because you lost your job. It could be so many factors. And all these combinations give us the stresses of life. We have to hold the head, and we can't talk clearly, and we can always say, somebody else, all right, right? Kind of things. These are some of the stresses that will be brought on based on the challenges. So from a psychological perspective, we know that the study of what goes on in the mind affects the body because of the interconnectedness between them. So you do not have one without the other. So when we're talking about that state of consciousness that Doc spoke to, of well-being, it's not just being happy, it's being positive, but experiencing in the midst of all of that, how you behave, how you balance the not so positive things that come into the mix, because this is the journey of life. Different things that you cannot control in your environment will impact on how you function effectively on a daily basis. It is those behaviors that we want to look at briefly. In terms of, well, we went through the psychology, we look at, Doc went through the well-being in its entirety. The distressors we mentioned, physical, mental, all of that can come into impact how we function. And it demands that extra energy that we should be giving to life. It demands that energy to focus on the stressors. And then when we focus on it so much, it becomes debilitating that we cannot function effectively. Let's keep that word in focus. Right? The effective functioning is being able to develop our potentials to the point where we can control things that are within our control. We have a sense of purpose while we are experiencing our positive relationships, our positive interactions. That's the kind of functioning that we're talking about in our well-being space. Monetary resources, yes, but as Doc mentioned earlier, it's not just about money. It's the way you experience your money. The support choices that we have around us to make us comfortably enjoy the moment and what we're doing to live life well and to flourish in the space at the time. So we're going to look a little bit at the psychology of money. How we quite simply behave is what we are talking about in the study of money, in the psychology of money. How we behave when we have money, when you're getting your pay, and you know pay is around the corner, as against 2 weeks down the road after getting your pay. How do you behave in relation to, right, when the money is in your hand, as against when you're expecting it? How do the thought processes affect how we feel, how we behave, how we respond, and the perceptions we have along that way of how we think about the particular situation influences how we respond to the particular situation when we have as against when we do not have. So that's really what we're looking at briefly. So we are clear that our thoughts about money affects us, affects everything we do, our worldview, our thoughts, all of that precipitates the actions, the behaviors, the responses to the situations. So I've aligned a nice little mnemonic here, FEGS, and it's yes, FEGS, is one of our most important, based on surveys, emotional responses to money. We either fear not having it, fear if we have too much because somebody's going to come and take it, the envy of the persons who don't have it and want to come and get it from those who have it. We're getting it. We feel guilt coming in when we don't have it to do what we need to do, pay the bills, pay the credit cards, buy food to put in the house. And we feel shame when we have to go borrow. Or if we go borrow and we hear that we don't have any to get. And as Doc mentioned earlier, you go to the bank and because of your credit, you're not able to get something that you desperately need, assistance with a chronic health problem or an emergency that just came up. So it's really how we think about it. Our personalities somewhat impacts the kinds of emotions that we precipitate when particular situations come up. So kind of a predisposition based on how I respond, how I look at things and my perception of things. I respond differently based on my personality. So I may not be so aware, and I love to, there are different types of spenders. There are different types of persons who use money the different ways based on their personality. So once you come into that awareness of how your emotions affect how you behave when it comes to money, is one of those situations that will always be tied to how we respond, the emotions. And because sometimes those emotions get so erratic, we do not think rationally. Are you hearing me clearly? Are we still together?
Yes.
Wonderful. So what happens in that case is that once we are aware about our circumstances, where we are and who we are when it comes to money, what we'll help to do is reduce some of the financial stresses that we tend to impose on ourselves. I just want you to look briefly on my animal video, where we looked at some of the main personality types. We have the persons who will save. They will nitpick and pinch and not enjoy life along the way because they are just savers. That's the personality type. We have the big spenders. They have no fear about spending money. And we have our shoppers. They'll shop around to find the best price in order and the best cost for things in order to do their purchases. And then we have the avid investor, who will take their time to weave through and find, the best products in the market to purchase. And then there are those who will just be debtors all along the way until they have gotten professional assistance from Dennise.
Yeah.
So with that said, how do we help to, what is the stress that we would go through in these cases, and how do we help to relieve the stress? Mind you, in all of this, remember we mentioned when we get paid and we get our emotions running high, yes, we have money and we can go to the parties. Now I can have ice cream, I can have a drink, I can go hanging with friends. These are some of the positive stresses to say, yes, you've worked hard for the month and I'm gonna kick it back on Fun Friday. All right. So as human beings, we are equipped to deal with the stressors that we are faced with, but it is designed in such a way to allow us to avoid danger. And as I said, there are those times when we become irrational and we don't act rationally, we don't behave in a very responsible manner. And that's when it challenges our opportunities to recover from the positive feedback. The unhealthy stresses are those reactions, those adverse responses to what we perceive to be a terrible situation that affects us to the point where we, as I mentioned earlier, we sit and we wonder and it feels like a rock is on our head. A whole lot of things go on in the thought process. How am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And what that does is puts a strain and put tension in and around the already perceived difficult circumstance. I know we're running for time, so what we're going to be looking at briefly, just a few of the causes and concerns. We have relational issues that will come into play. We mentioned some chronic health issues. We will have persons with pain being exacerbated, mood swings, depression, anxiety are some of the ones that you're familiar with in the space. We'll have sleep issues coming in. We'll have persons that are going to be feeling so down that it affects the self-esteem. I don't want to go into public. I don't want to do, I don't want to come and talk. I don't want that social anxiety, the social phobias. I don't want to deal with that. I can't manage this. I can't manage that. And then I either eat too much or I eat nothing at all, because it affects my appetite. It affects my appetite, it affects my body functions naturally, right? That's how the ripple effect is. My body functions affected, my energy gets low. I can't power up a team. I can't move along and effectively function in my workspaces, in my homes, and to give off the best quality functions that I am able to. The latest test from American Psychological Association showed that Americans were stressed by an average of 73%. That was the latest, and this was before COVID, guys. This was before COVID, and that was the measure. So how do we look at what our resources are, our internal resources and our external resilient factors, and the resources that are out there to help us overcome and work through the stress healthily? So one of those interesting mixes is that you have support structures, could be family, could be work situations. Those in themselves have the reverse to be true as well. You'll have your internal resilience situation. How rugged am I? How much grit do I have? How am I able to navigate this space based on either past experiences and live in the moment and enjoy the well-being that I'm supposed to be enjoying while living? So these asset mix tend to bring us into the awareness of understanding who you are. That's where we start planting the seeds to grow and grow from today and into the future.
We appreciate our personalities and who we are, so you don't want to live like the Joneses because the Joneses are able to do this and they're of that predisposition. No, no one size fits all. We're not all the same persons. Life would not be as interesting as it is. We have to identify our own social support structures where there aren't any. Professionals will help you to connect the dots and make that web one of those webs that you have strong connections to support, create where there aren't any connections, create those weak links so that we can navigate the spaces well. And by doing so, we reduce our toxins in our spaces, and what in effect happens is that we reduce our stress. So there's a lot more to the way we think about money. That's where we need to be at. Change the mindset, change the thought process. And then once that is done, we're able to act, we're able to behave differently and be more effective. One way we approach money, where we can begin by setting goals for ourselves. Dennise is going to go into all of this with the debt reduction because she's the expert. Our view of money is that we should, rather than just have it and it's in our possession and it's all about the possessions that we have, let's view the money as the experiences we have along this journey. We can do so by reducing our fixed monthly costs. We spend days doing the things we love with the people we love and experience life from that realm. We plan for the future. We plan for longer life, investing in the long term so we can live and have that well-being in the long term. Okay? Doc has a favorite saying, say consistency with discipline gets us there. Our Jamaican term, one cocoa full basket. We can all relate, right? So growth is never by chance. Our behaviors and how we respond, though, we have control. We can control. And sometimes what happens is when it does move out of that space, out of that realm where we have complete control, is where we have and would need the assistance to bring us back into that rational space. All right. So we give thanks because nothing that we say and do can be done without God in the midst. I'm sorry, I make no apologies. My God is my God. And even by the book that is there, that was from when? Proverbs 21 verse 5. So the plans of the diligent leads to profit, as surely as haste leads to poverty. So we do our budgeting, we plan for retirement, we save for emergencies. There are different ways about doing this and preparing for the future. But all of this journey is to say that whatever we do is to ensure that we live life from a well perspective. Our entire well-being speaks to the behavior, what we think, how we act out in that space to enjoy life fully. We're on this journey together. I want to thank you for your time, and let's be financially fit to continue our journey from today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Michele. That was a wonderful presentation, and I pray that you guys have picked up some really good tip of how to really, recognize when you're getting into those bad, stressful spaces and how to reorient. But, importantly, know when you need some help. And, there are two levels of help that you can get. You can get to the psychologist, Michele, but there is a knockout champion called financial counselor, financial coach. And one really great one is Dennise Williams. She has an MBA in banking and finance. She's an approved financial counselor, working through the Office of the Supervisor of Insolvency. She helps persons as a financial success coach. She's the CEO of Financially Focused. That's how I met her, by the way. Long before I knew her personally, I was reading her immense work that she does in the content that she shares. She's also the president of the Credit Repair Association, an awesome lady. So without further ado, I'm going to turn over to her, and then let's close with the questions after. And she's going to help you to learn how to give your finances the punch that it needs to knock out anything that goes against it. Dennise, over to you.
Yes. Okay. So I had sent my PowerPoint. Can guys bring it up?
Sorry, Michele, is it possible for you to bring up Dennise's PowerPoint for me?
Okay now. Yes. Okay. So while we're waiting on that, I just wanted to share some background. So working with the Office of Insolvency and working with Financially Focused, coming out of COVID, I realized there's a lot of persons quietly drowning. You know, in our culture, we take debt as such a shameful thing to admit. And, you know, what has happened internationally, the UK, I think, put it best. You know, the British have a way with English, right? But they say that globally, many of us are sleepwalking into a debt crisis. And if we're sleepwalking into a debt crisis, it's almost like we're not aware. It's not part of our consciousness. There's so many extreme examples. Persons who borrow to supplement their income, borrow to maintain a particular lifestyle, and the loans creep up on them. The monthly payment creeps up on them. And in the initial stage, it feels, it feels like you have a plan, and it makes sense. In fact, I was speaking to someone last night that her mother died and she needs to borrow $10.5 million to pay off her siblings so that her mother's last wishes could be honored. And I was really asking her, if you take a 30-year mortgage against your property to honor the last wishes, you'll be paying $175,000 a month. Is it worth it to you? And she said, absolutely, because the mommy's last wishes was this. Another client had $4 million on her credit card because, again, it was daddy's last wish, who was in New York, to be buried in Jamaica. But daddy did not believe in insurance. And so, in order to get the body here, have a funeral in New York, and then have a funeral here in Jamaica, it racked up $4 million, and she happened to be the only sibling with a credit card. And she was promised faithfully that the other siblings would contribute to the credit card, but of course, that did not happen. So there are a lot of debt situations. Some of it is bad choices. Some of it, as Jamaica coming out of the FinSac era, I don't know if I'm telling you how young I am, but in the FinSac area, a lot of persons borrowed with good intentions and they were servicing their debt, and interest rates went up on them, jacked up on them, and they lost. In a similar way, I had a client who was so depressed. It was a medical condition over owing the bank. She had borrowed against her house to fund her business. And so she said, you know what? All right, I'm going to sell the house. Done. When she sold the house, it was not enough to cover the fees and interest that was assessed. And her children, her older children had to jump in, contribute, and she's now living in her daughter's helpers quarters and trying to rebuild. But it would be a medical issue because she's depressed of it. So there's a lot of strong emotions related to debt. Okay, so I want to bring, are you not finding a PowerPoint? Because I can talk from, you found it.
I'm gonna ask her just go. Did she find it?
Yes.
Okay, great. It's all. Thanks.
All right. So we can skip forward because I've pretty much covered. So we can get to number 4. I would encourage everyone to go on financiallyfocusedmedia.com so you can sign up for newsletters and such. All right. So because debt is the next crisis, it's really important that there are professionals available to help consumers. Because COVID has caused great economic upheaval, and of course, certified training is key. It makes no sense that you not work with someone who is certified to help you work through your debt issues. Next slide. Right? Next slide. So since 2010, number 5, right? Since 2010, Jamaica and the wider Caribbean has been under a credit reporting regime. So no longer can you borrow from Bank A, then jump over to Bank B and try a thing with Bank C. Those days are over. So in slide 5, you will see that the credit report is now the measurement, the national measurement of how well you manage your obligations. And so what your behavior, and don't say, oh, I don't have a loan. It's okay. Your light, you have electricity, you have water, you have cable. It's all being tracked. A lot of us do not understand how much of our financial decisions are being tracked. And so when it's time to get that loan, the student loan, the mortgage, the car loan, boom, the credit report turns up and creates havoc because there was no plan. Slide 6, we'll be looking at where most of us acquire debt. So slide 6. Right. So we're looking at, as I just said, mortgages, student loans, medical debt. And I can share with you in 2010, my second son was born with Down syndrome, and he had various challenges. He had a hole in his heart and issues with his heart valve. Of course, those children are born with small respiratory systems, sleep apnea, eczema, you name it. Of course, I am a new mother. I have my own medical condition, postpartum depression. So I'm running around, doing all kind of foolishness. And of course, the credit card bills just stack up, stack up, stack up. And so I had to get assistance in order to regularize and have a plan to work my way out, which is one of the things that motivate me for Financially Focused, because I was there. I was a new mother. I already had my first child, the second baby, and I'm running around like I just don't know if I'm coming or I'm going. So I can understand sometimes you make bad decisions, but they're emotionally charged, which is what Michele had referred to earlier. So in the next slide, slide 7, the question really is, who helps you with your debt problems? And I believe this is where a lot of the confusion takes place for consumers. Next slide. So we really have 3 major players right now in the debt scenario in Jamaica. There's the court bailiff. That's the person who's running you down, right? Well, okay, go to 9, sorry. So, okay, 10. So the court bailiff is hired by the creditors. That person is not, the bailiff is not there to help you restore your good name with the banker, because in the days where you could run off with the debt, those days are over. If you are a living, breathing professional who has ambition to move up, you will run it back into your credit report. The court bailiffs don't help you to find other funds when you need to move forward in life. The banker, God bless them, their job is to sell money. They are not hired to listen to your crisis. I worked in the financial sector when I had my second baby. And as much as my friends hugged me and said everything's going to be okay, financially, what are they going to do? That's not their job to listen to me cry and tell them I don't get much sleep at night. That's not their job. And so when persons run into financial difficulties, sometimes they can become angry with the bank, not realizing it's not the bank's job to help you work through your issues. Last but certainly not least is the attorneys, the lawyers. They turn up when someone hires them. They're not here to restore your good name. They do not help you find new sources of funding so that as you move forward in life, you want to acquire a property, but then after you acquire it, you want to fix it up. Sometimes you don't have the ready cash. You will need access to credit. Next. What my service is debt healing and credit restoration. The debt healing is more of the emotional side. We do workshops to help people, learn how to write letters without being a victim. We really help our clients to move away from the language of a victim, okay? We're very technical, very dry letters to get action. The credit restoration side is more of the number side. That's where we now help you to clear through the clutter of your situation. So let's get to some of that. We're going to look at some of the strategies. Right. So we just talked about the first one. We want to use powerful language that may, notice I say may, because you really can't bully anybody, reduce your debt and increase your options. Many times for the bankers, it's a numbers game. It's just a number. And if you can learn the right language to write to them and get them to believe that you see it their way, you may find interest reduced, fees reduced, payment plans created. You use the right language, you will get a breather. Next one. Right. So what we want to do is more than just getting the reduction. We want payment extensions, because sometimes, you like say it's a mortgage. You don't want to lose your house. Okay. So the letters in strategy 1, where we're, negotiating, is more of a short term. You took a personal loan and you're trying to, or your credit card. In strategy 2, the persuasive letter, so we've let go of the being a victim. Now we want to persuade the banker to say, listen, we're in COVID. I bought this apartment or this house for Airbnb, and that's dried up because of COVID. Can you extend the loan? Or the student loan. I have a student loan and I'm not successful in getting a job in my current position, current area of study. Can I get some extension? So we write. It's a process. It's usually takes 3 or 4 letters, and there's usually maybe a 15 to 35-day gap between letters. So it's a process. And so what we do is take our clients through the process so they don't start to panic after the first 15 to 30 days because you're not hearing anything. Okay, next one. Okay, now debt settlement is different from the first 2 types of letters, which we are not being a victim, trying to persuade. Debt settlement means we want to wipe it off the books. Okay, so the first 2 letters, you're trying to kind of, walk between the raindrops and get the debt manageable. In strategy 3, we're wiping it off. Okay, and sometimes, depending on the situation, the bank may take, instead of, you pay back every dollar, it may be 50 cents, 80 cents, 90 cents of what you owe. Again, it depends. There is no one size fits all. You can't come and say, oh, I expect to, have my debt negotiated and I only pay back 10% of what I owe. Every situation is different. So it's important to know what debt settlement means to you. And so again, there are letters that we teach our clients how to write to get that going. All right, next one. All right, now, again, I'm going to use myself. In 2017, a friend of mine at the bank called and said, Dennise, I'm not fastening your business. I just happened to see your name pop up and I know you. How did you get married again and didn't tell me? I said, what? How did you get married? What's wrong? She said, sweetie, you got married. You went to this bridal boutique. You bought your dress here. You then bought food at the supermarket. You filled up your gas station here. And then you went to Sandals in Ocherius for 5 nights. I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. She said, well, this is what I'm seeing. So please come down and let's talk about it. And so, of course, I jumped down there and sat down with the banker to say, none of that. And guess what happens? They immediately freeze your credit card. So I wasn't financially obligated for the wedding, but it reflected on my credit report. And it took me 1 year to remove it. Okay. So another strategy we use for our clients is to make sure they are not carrying burdens that are not theirs. My name is Dennise Williams with 2 N's. There are 263 other Dennise Williams on this fair island. And you may wonder how I know, because every now and then I get letters saying, Dennise Williams, you owe this. Dennise Williams, you didn't do that. And I had to find out, why am I getting this? But a lot of times, in my case, it's a 1N is the difference. And because I'm sensitive to it, I'm immediately alerted to when somebody just sees my name, they write me thinking I owe them and I don't. All right, last one. Right, now, here's the deal. There is a sector of the financial market that is there for people with bad credit. You can pay between 2 to 4% a month on loans, okay? It's a very good sector. They're there for people who don't care about their credit history. The banks won't touch them, and they only need 20,000 to 100,000 to move forward in life. However, if you have greater ambition than that, to maybe buy a car, start a business, buy a house, whatever we want to do, you're going to need to do your credit repair. You're going to have to get your name cleared in order to access low interest rate loans. Low interest rate loans is what makes debt a tool rather than a burden. Okay, next slide. All right, so you will see this is the universe of debt relief options. The next slides, I'll go through them. I hope we have enough time. So go to next slide. Right, don't wait for the bailiff. You need to do something. And no debt situation is permanent. It feels heavy. It's a lot of emotions. Michele referred to that, but none of them are permanent, okay? So critical to do something. Next slide. Okay, so we're gonna first assess the type of debt that you have. Are you dealing with a debt emergency? Debt emergencies are usually when you are going to face some immediate legal repercussion. Okay, so now you gotta act fast. Priority debts, there is no immediate debt situation, so you're not gonna be removed from your house, your car is not going to be repossessed, but you're going to be prevented from accessing more money. You're not going to be able to move forward in life. And then there are non-priority debts that you have more breathing room, but perhaps you want to get rid of. So what do we? So we're going to go through the 8 general steps. Next slide. So credit counseling, again, what my service, again, this is how you manage your debt smartly. You get help with your budget, and you want to really manage your credit score in a proper way. And here is where you're being proactive, or you are forced to take credit counseling if you file for bankruptcy in Jamaica. All right, next one. Interest rate arbitration is really find cheap money somewhere else, take the cheap money, pay off the expensive money, clear off the expensive debt. Next one. Balance transfers usually happen with credit cards where one bank says, pay 0 interest for 18 months and bring over your other credit card debt to me. So again, if you are disciplined and you plan to clear up your money in 18 months, awesome choice. Next one. We talked about debt settlement. This is usually a negotiation. You are seeking to not pay the full 100%. This is usually done with very old debt. Next one. Bill or debt consolidation, very, very, very popular. But from the perspective of the Office of Insolvency in Jamaica, bill and debt consolidation is the next step before bankruptcy. Most persons haven't changed their behavior. They just consolidate their debt, consolidate their bills, and then rack up bills again. Next one. Self-repayment plan. Again, you are disciplined, you're good, and you work out your payment with the bank. You don't need any support, and you can convince the bank that you're good for the money. Last one. Bankruptcy or insolvency, you can do this and make a fresh start. Legally in Jamaica, you must owe 300,000 or more in order to begin the bankruptcy process. Additionally, your assets and debt will be taken over and managed by the Office of Insolvency, and you will be mandated to see me legally 6 times minimum before the judge will wipe off your debts. And so what happens is I have to write a report to say Mary Jane is, not behaving, not changing her behavior, or Mary Jane has changed her behavior, and I recommend A, B, and C. The judge looks it over, and either you get it or you don't. Next slide. So again, just reminding you of the services I provide. And the next slide. So in partnership with Doc here, we will be offering a workshop where we're going to look at the 5-step guide, and that's where we'll be doing letter writing. We'll be having a conversation about languaging, and really to help you if you need it, or if you just, want to just step up where you are to move forward. So it's a 90-minute workshop, very awesome. Doc will have more details to share with his mailing list. And I believe, one more slide. I don't remember what the other slide is. Oh, we're done. All right. I hope that was on time. Dr. Thompson, I don't know.
Thank you so much, Dennise. I told you that she was a formidable champion, right? She is an awesome lady when it comes to finances. And as a matter of fact, you realize that when it comes to debt and getting you out of bankruptcy, she is the person that you need to know as well, right? She's an amazing woman. I just love the day that we got to talk, and that she became a partner to our organization to be able to support persons who are going through financial challenges, and so many wonderful lives she's touched, and so many more she will as time goes on. We are so pleased to partner with her. So without further ado, I know lunchtime is over a long time ago, but we want to open the floor to take a few questions from persons who may be on before we wrap up, and just help to enlighten you as we close. So let's open the floors, and let's hear your feedback from what you have learned today. I'm going to jump to Gladstone first and just hear his feedback. What have you learned today? And are there any questions that you'd want to ask on behalf of your group?
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Thomas, it is?
Yes, Thompson, sure, go right ahead.
Okay, thank you for selecting me. It was a well executed seminar. I learned a lot, I must say, especially as it relates to the whole matter of debt management. The test that you gave, to ascertain your financial status. I think, that's a good one, and that's something that I would definitely recommend to anybody, because it is of a fact that, we need to know where we are financially. And in order for us to move forward, it is good to know where we are so that we can know the improvement that we need to make. You also mentioned something. There are some things that money cannot purchase. And this is very important that we understand that while we are trying to create financial well-being, there are some things that money will not be able to purchase, and we have to ensure that we enjoy those things that money cannot purchase. I trust and hope that for the others, they would have taken the maximum out of this presentation so that they can better their lives. Certainly, I know that my financial well-being will be different as a result of this seminar.
Thanks so much, Gladstone, and those are very powerful words. Just to say, I know that we are past lunchtime and many would have had to jumped off, but the video will be made available to sharing with all the organizations that we partner with, as well as those who have a request. I think Dennise's presentation was, I mean, it's a one of a kind debt knockout presentation. You know, usually you hear the fluff about snowballing, but you really got it very solid and serious now. If you really want to get rid of debt, we're gonna have to write some serious letters, and we're really gonna have to take this thing serious. Dina, I know you had your hands up, and I know Priscilla may want to share. So let me just give you guys a chance. And if there's anyone else before they close, you're free. Dino?
Hello, I'm sorry, that was from the previous hand raise. I had to bring it down.
Oh, don't worry. Just jump on in. What have you learned, and what would you like to share with your own team?
Well, it was actually an interesting presentation. As it regards the lawyer, that little section that took me with the lawyer and the bankers and the court, the court, that is something I've always said. The bankers can be very polite and formally polite. That's a part of their job, but really and truly they're selling a product. And so when it comes on to debt and paying off your debt and so on, I find that, well, I've been told even by very young teenagers that I'm a miser. I studied economics, and I actually started studying science in high school, and I love mathematics and geography and stuff like that. But when I started I wanted to do actuarial science because of all that math love. And when I got into all the business stuff and I started learning accounts and so on, I used to get just frustrated. I'm wondering, what is this? But when I learned economics in university, I said to myself, hold on, is this something that I need to, let me try this budgeting thing since I'm on hall and I don't have my parents and I have a roommate. So I'm like, can we try to budget? We're going to go to the supermarket. How are we going to work with this? You're always eating all my cereal. So how are we going to do this? So, I said, all right, we have to learn how to budget. And from then on, I was just stuck to it. I'm like, you know what? I need to have a life where I can plan my stuff. Even if I'm going somewhere, I need to pack X amount. If I'm going to Father's Day weekend, I'm going out on Friday, Saturday, on Sunday, I'm going to write down everything. I just do some crazy things that persons criticize. I'm not very perfect when it comes on to those things. And I learned also about the little credit score section. You may not want a credit card, you don't want to borrow any money and all of that, but people pay attention to how you even pay your little electricity bills and your utilities. So I looked at all of that and I was saying, wow, it's interesting when you are trying to ensure that you are stable financially, but then you have other little grounds that you may not have covered or you don't really know how to, and you might need some advice. But when you go to persons at the banks and so on, you still feel like, look, they're not as helpful as you'd want them to be. So, I listened to that and I was like, that's interesting, because I'm not a fan of debt, but then again, there are times when it happens to you and you really can't escape it. So, well, that's how I see it. Sometimes you just can't escape it, because there are certain phases of your life that I realize that you don't even want certain responsibilities, but they end up just falling in your lap. And you have to find a way to get out of it. So I found that little part with the banks and the lawyers and so on, they're just doing their job. So you kind of have to help yourself out of a lot of these things. And your choice is to know, okay, how am I going to do it? How am I going to make myself a little more literate to handle these things?
Powerful words, Dino. Thank you so much. And we look to resonate it as others hear the video replayed, right? The journey across the financial well-being challenge to ensure that you're financially literate, your skills are up, and of course your knowledge is up. Priscilla, let me ask you to close, or if you're the last person, we can close with them.
Okay, the real life scenarios I found very good, because most times when presentations are done, they're done like in a vacuum. it's not like a real life situation. It's like a perfect situation. Oh, you know, you control your death and everything is wonderful, but in real life, things do not go that way. So I looked at it from that perspective. In addition to that, awareness and knowledge, as well as access to information, because if we do find ourselves in debt for one reason or another, whether we fail to manage our financial resources the way we should, we have choices, we have options. So if we are armed with information, it will not drive us over the edge. We will be able to go out and seek for assistance. I just want to share with you that I have a church sister. Years ago, she was pursuing, I think, her first degree, and she borrowed whatever money she could. She's in education, and she couldn't come up with the rest of the tuition, and she wrote to the then Prime Minister, and she actually got help. Now, I would not have thought of that, but she realized that she had a need, and she searched for assistance and she got it. So a lot of times we feel so powerless, and if we have information, even though we are not in a good position, we would be better able to assist ourselves and to move from where we are to a better position. That's my take on it.
God bless you for that, Priscilla, and a wonderful way to close. So, guys, I thank you everyone for coming, and for those of us that are in Cyberland and will receive this as an after video, I want to ask you, as you've listened through, to really look at yourself and, you know, say to yourself, can I make a 14-day pledge and stick to it? Can I pledge to look at my well-being? Can I look at my financial stress? Can I look at my debt seriously and make a single pledge? One cocoa, full basket. And you know, you take the pledge, reach out to Fiona or Michele, and they'll send you your pledge certificate. You pledge what you can to achieve what you need, making that commitment. Realize that for things to change, you must change. For things to get better, you must get better. For things to improve, you must improve. Because when we grow, everything in life around us grows. Remember, God is always with you. Michele said that earlier, and certainly is reinforced by me. So if you're ready for it, guys, get ready and jump. Let's do it together. We talk again, and look out for our programs. We have a wonderful employee assistance program that we use across the island. And if you are part of one, remember financial wellness is a part of it. If you're not, just speak to your employers about plugging in with us, and we get you that financial support through Dennise and our other partners. God bless you all, and it was a pleasure speaking to you. Might I say, Dennise, you are so fabulous, my darling. Thank you so much for coming on for us. And we look forward to the next session. Guys, look out for that powerful debt management session that's coming up. And July 1 will be starting. And so we will be bringing it to you in greater detail. God bless you all.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ta-ta.